So I was thinking before this video, and I want to talk about the most disappointing bands for me as a listener or fan. And disappointed is just exclusively for myself. And for various reasons, I put a list with only five bands that I think for me, they were disappointed at some point in their career with album or changes or something like that. And the disappointment comes in different ways, right? It's not just specific for one reason. But anyways, I thought it would just be a little bit different and a good list to put at it. I also open a comment some of the bands that you think disappointed you as a fan or a music lover listener. Alright, welcome to the ultimate list of disappointed bands. Let's start here with Greta Van Fleet, and they're disappointed for me. And again, I'm different from most of some of the people that didn't like Greta Van Fleet when they came out, saying they were a ripoff of Led Zeppelin or all this stuff. And I love everything about Greta Van Fleet when they came out. It was just like the aesthetics, the sound, they sound like, I don't know, Led Zeppelin, you can say that, but it was just different, fresh. It had a sort of like that raw, young punch in the face sort of style. And I got really excited, especially with the album From the Fires. In 2020, they released Anthem of the Peaceful Army, and both of these albums were great, but they disappointed me so much on the last two albums that they almost became a different band for me, and I had like literally no interest on listening to the last two things that they put together. I pre-ordered the third full-length album that they had, and I listened to once, and I sold it because it was they became such a like soft, trying to get like symphonic atmosphere sort of sounds, and it just became so different for what they initially are, and it became very disappointed the direction that they're going and they went as right now. They're still a young band, they can change, but for me it's just disappointed in the sense of like I was expecting way more from them as a band and as artists, like especially because of the EP From the Fires and a lot of stuff from the Anthem of the Peaceful Army. But first name on the list, very disappointed with Greta Van Fleet so far. Second name on the list, I think it's one of the most people are gonna resonate a lot with it, Kings of Leon. And I'll tell you what, guys, Youth and Young Manhood, A Heartshake, Heartbreak, and Because of the Times. The first three albums from Kings of Leon, there's so many fewer bands that can put three albums as a start that they just are perfect. All those three albums are perfect for me. Because of the Times, it's maybe a 9 out of 10, but like the whole trio initial is just Kings of Leon is such a cool, fun band to listen to. The raw rock and roll ideas and the whole approach to music, and a lot of hits, a lot of musicianship, and a lot of the songwriting. It was so good, and then what they used to the different style of it. It's just they were for me such a unique band to listen to. And when they come up with You Somebody and Sex on Fire, they made it so much money that they don't know what to do with those two hits. Those two hits became such immense hits. They used to play like at nightclubs. They changed or added the whole different public. But for me, what it is so disappointing after that is just because everything they put after those two singles. And don't get me wrong, I like You Somebody and Sex on Fire. It's just one of those songs that you just listen to so much that you don't really have any interest in listening again. Becomes such a different band after that, but all the albums after it's so hard to listen because they are not even close to what they used to be. Like there's not even glimpse of it. And believe me, I try to give another chance to the newer albums. Like I listened to the last album they released in 2024. I didn't go past the second track. It's just hard for me to get back with the new Kings of Leon, and it's disappointed because if they made it like another album that it's sort of like semi-close for what they put in the first three, there would be not as just for the general public, not as just for the two massive hits, but also for a rock band that like also kicks ass, if that makes sense. So it's disappointing for me because they had so much more potential to keep grinding, going that direction, and then they change everything. And then I think everything after those two singles, they just suck. Anyways, my opinion. So Third band that it's very disappointing for me, it is, hear me out, Guns N' Roses. And I think you can see why. Because what do they have? They have only 3 good albums. They have a massive, one of the best albums of all time with Appetite. And they have Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 as some people think is too much. Some people love it. I am one of those that I think it should be just one album or maybe a double album, cutting a couple of tracks here and there. But after that, Chinese Democracy, sorry, it's awful. It's not even Guns N' Roses anymore. It's disappointed because they are still one of the biggest rock bands of all time. But just imagine what it could have been in terms of music if they were semi put it together in the 90s, and if they could work together throughout the 2000s and latest, like the last 10 years maybe, because they're playing, but everything that they put it so far, all the singles, they just are not good. And their ideas are there because Slash's works after that with Velvet Revolver, even his solo career, are awesome. He is still creating amazing music, but it's just, I think, the magic between those 5 guys, it is hard. Unfortunately, it's hard to ever happen again, and it's probably not gonna happen at all. It's just disappointing in the sense of, man, imagine maybe like one more album that would be like between an Appetite and a Use Your Illusion, like between. So another album with that much quality and musicianship and kick-ass rock and roll. So that's disappointing because of that. Another band that it is disappointed for me is sort of the same way of Guns N' Roses, and then it is Skid Row. For almost the same reasons. It is because the 2 first Skid Row albums are they're probably the 2 of my favorite hair/heavy metal, or whatever you want to call trash here and there, whatever you want to call that, albums of all time. I freaking love Slave to the Grind and the first Skid Row album. They're just everything there. It's perfect. They're 10 out of 10. They're perfect albums. After that, mostly because of Sebastian and all, those guys dealing with him, and then dealing with sort of the same stuff that most of the bands from the 90s, early 90s and late 80s deal with, the change of the scenario, change of music scene. And Sebastian Bach put some good stuff as a solo artist, and Skid Row has been struggling. The last album was decent, with, I forgot his name, but with the Swedish guy that's from Heat. It's sort of the same as Guns N' Roses. Like, just imagine if they just put all apart and sit down and just write something sort of in between Slave to the Grind and Skid Row. I don't know, I just feel like it could be at least one more. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's disappointing because of that, because they should have put at least 1 or 2 more excellent albums in the works. And Skid Row is a different band without Sebastian Bach. Sebastian Bach is not the same solo without the guys from Skid Row. So, and the last band is sort of like the same as Greta Van Fleet for me. It is Highly Suspect. And then it is disappointing for me because the first album, Mr. Asylum, and the album The Boy Who Died Wolf from, I think The Boy Who Died Wolf was from 2016 and Mr. Asylum is from 2014. If I'm wrong, I'm going to fix over here. But those 2 albums are just such a cool, different, like alternative / rock and roll / hard rock, sort of like there's some electronic elements too, but it's such a different band with different ideas. I forgot the name of the singer, which is the main face behind Highly Suspect, but they're just fresh and those 2 albums that bring so much like expectations of what the band could be in the future. And then they release MCDI, I think, which is total garbage. It's so bad, such a bad album. And after that, there was an album from 2022, which is not good. And the last album, As Above, So Below, it is decent. So you sort of see like they coming back on track. But out of the 10, 11 tracks on that, maybe 4 or 5, I enjoy listening, getting back to it. So I don't know. They're just a disappointed band for me because I thought they would be huge, especially with when they released The Boy Who Died Wolf. So again, another young band that can go back on track and then just sort of like get back to the roots. Maybe that's for me, right? I just wish they release more songs like that, or if they get inventive and create new things, they make sense and they blend together and they sound as good as the early stuff. But anyways, I just put it like 5 bands that I am very disappointed with throughout, I don't know, my years of listening and following bands and, you know, music. So, but anyways, it'll be good to open a discussion in the comments below to put your most disappointed band of all time, or the couple bands that you disappointed, and tell me why. I'm truly interested to see some other names that I didn't think about it to put on this video, and maybe I'll do a video part 2 or talk about some of the bands that you guys comment on the section below. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment as well. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.